This is a demonstration of the website that we use to produce our quarterly preaching plan in our circuit. And to access the site, you need to open your browser and go to methodist.church.net.za. And this is the page that you'll see. It's not an official page of the MCSA, but as I said, we use the preaching plan facility in our circuit and elsewhere in our district, and anybody's welcome to make use of the site. So when you come to the page, there's fairly limited information available initially. If you go and explore the site, you can see there's a list of the various districts in the Methodist Church of Southern Africa. If we go to the Natal Coastal District and pick a circuit like the Umgani circuit, you'll see that all that's shown there is a list of the societies where we have GPS data and a map. However, if you register as a user and you log into your circuit and you activate your circuit, at that point you're then able to publish data related to your circuit. So the ministers who are there, the local preachers who are there, and the preaching plan information. And the reason it's designed this way is because there needs to be some sensitivity about publication of personal data. So no personal information is published until an authorized representative of a circuit goes into the site and activates the circuit, and then they can add preacher detail and preaching plan detail and all the rest of it. So when you come to a site that's not activated, a circuit that's not activated, it looks like this. If we go back and we come to a circuit that is using the preaching plan software, you'll see it looks slightly different because now there's a link that will allow you to view the preaching plan. So this is so that preachers and members in the circuit can actually come and see the preaching plan. And this circuit has been activated for use. If we go back to the home page, in order to add preacher data, add societies, update the preaching plan, you need to be a registered user and you need to log into the site. So if we click on the login link in the top right hand corner, if you are already a registered user, this is easy. Enter your email and password and sign in. If you're not yet a user, you have to click on that link to register, enter your full name, email, and choose a password, and then click register. And once you've registered, you'd need to send me a note just confirming which circuit you represent, and I'd need to be assured that you are an authorized representative of your circuit. So maybe if a minister contacts me, that's easily done, so that I can allow you to be linked to your circuit, and then you can activate it and carry on and get going with the preaching plan. That's if you need to register. If you are already registered, you go to the login link, and I'm just going to log in with my own details. Once I've logged in, you can see that the menu in the top right hand corner changes. My name appears there, and if you open that little menu, there's an option to log out to view the account, and all that the account page does is allow you to correct any name details, change your email address, or change your password, or actually deactivate the account if you want to. The other link in that little menu is a shortcut to the circuit that you're authorized to edit. So once I've linked you to a particular circuit, you can then go to that circuit, add preachers, societies, and update the preaching plan. So that's my home circuit. I'm going to click on that now. And you'll see that if you're logged in and you're authorized to work in a circuit, there'll be a few extra links that appear here when you come to the site. The first thing you might notice is that there's now a list of clergy that are stationed in that circuit, and you have these 3 buttons that allow you to do extra things within the circuit. If we have a look at adding a society, by entering the society name and then any other details that you have, you need at least a name, but you can add address, email, website, and you can add a physical location, which is very useful in the circuit where you have numbers of societies and not everyone knows where all the societies are. Having a GPS location is useful for people to find their way there. So to pick the location, you can zoom in on the map and move around And you can change the map from a street map to a satellite image, which will help you to identify exactly where the location of the society where they meet. So let's say we have a pavilion society, and let's put a pin there, and you can zoom in and make sure the pin's in the right place. If the pin's not in the right place, you can't drag it, it'll move the whole picture, but you can just click elsewhere on the map and the pin will move. So if it needs to be down there, you can move the pin around. Complete all the fields, click insert, and you'll be taken back to the circuit page, and that society would have been added. Here's a list of all the societies that we've already added. If we have a look at one of those societies, say the Westville Society, you can see the information that's already been put in, and there's an option here to edit the society. So if we go in there, you can see those completed fields. We can make any changes necessary, and we can see the services that have been set up for that society. So there are 4 services at the Westville Society. You can click on any of these links to change a time. If you want the service time to change to 9:10, you could press update, or if you want to delete the service, you could click delete. Let's not change anything there. You can add a new service, and all you're asked for there is the service time and insert, and that would add a 5th service to the society. But you shouldn't have to come in here too much to change society details. That should be very seldom. Right, then up at the top here, there's an option to edit the circuit. Again, this is not something that you should do very often, but if you click on that link, you'll see that there's the circuit name and number. Depending on how your circuit operates, you can specify which month is the month of the first preaching plan of each year. So in our circuit, our first preaching plan is February, March, April. And our last one of the year is November, December, January. So if you specify that, then obviously the 3-month plans will adjust accordingly. Again, this is for sensitivity to personal information being published. At the moment, the circuit is set up to not display phone numbers on the preaching plan or the preacher register, which I'll show you in a minute. So you can, when you enter a new preacher, you do enter a phone number if you want, and this will include those phone numbers on the preaching plan. And then this field is important. It needs to be activated. It needs to say yes in order for you to be able to publish your preaching plan and for people to be able to see and access that plan. So those are the circuit settings. Not very often that you'll be changing that, but they're all quite important for how your circuit functions. And then here's where most of the work will be taking place, edit preaching plan. If you click on that button, you'll see all the societies that you've added are listed along the left here, along with each service per society. We haven't fully populated this preaching plan yet. This is just some test data for demonstration purposes. But if we say take the 1st of May at the Addington Society at the 8:30 service, we can pick a preacher there from amongst the ministers or the preachers. Pick a minister, and we can say that service is going to be a communion service, and that will update automatically. If we then view the preaching plan, you'll see that I've just added that Addington service there, and there's the plan details on the front page, and the back has got all the circuit ministers, local preachers, circuit stewards, all of those names appear there. If you had the show phone numbers options set on the circuit settings, then the phone numbers would appear here too. So that's what the preaching plan looks like. You'll see that it runs from May to July, so that when we opened the preaching plan page, I'm recording this in late June of 2022. So it automatically takes you to the current preaching plan. If you need to go and work on August, September, October's plan, you just use that forward arrow there. So that'll move everything to the next plan, and you can populate that, and you can always go back to the previous one. From this page, you can edit your circuit preachers. So there's a list of all the local preachers, and you can also add guest preachers who are not accredited local preachers, but occasionally take a service, maybe a minister from another denomination or something like that. To add a new preacher, choose the preacher title, first name, surname, phone number. If you have the year of induction, that can be added and it will appear on the back of the preaching plan. Preacher status is important. You can specify if a person is a local preacher on full plan, if they're on trial, on note, if they are retired or an emeritus local preacher, or if they're a guest preacher, maybe a minister from another church. Some circuits use preacher numbers, and you can add that as well if you like. And then you specify which society the preacher is linked with. You must pick a society. So for the on the back of the plan, then you'll see that the preachers are arranged by society. But on the plan itself, if you've added a guest preacher, they won't be listed there on the plan at all. So you can just pick any society to allocate the guest preacher to. It makes no difference. And then there's one other category of person that you might add to your preaching plan who is not actually a preacher. You might want to add a circuit steward. So you could say that the person is not a preacher, you add their details, and you pick one of these roles that they play. There could be a circuit steward, for example. And then their name and details would appear on the plan, but not listed among the preachers. So let's go back to the preaching plan. Final resource from this page is this. There are two links there actually. The first is the circuit diary. So you can specify if there are meetings coming up in the circuit. You can specify date, time, description, and then venue. And by clicking on that link, you can edit an existing meeting. You can see we have end of July at 12 o'clock. Local preachers meeting at the Musgrave Society. If you want to update that time and date, you can either do it manually, you can change the 30th to the 31st, you can just type it, or click on that little icon there, and then you can pick another date, and you can also click on the time icon and change the time. So let's go back. You could add a new meeting as well, and the same again, pick a date and time, details, and pick a society as a venue. And then the last is the preachers register. This is just a PDF that you can use in your preachers meeting, which shows you the names of all your preachers. It's also will have their phone numbers if you've specified that, and it's just used for your LPD meeting every quarter. You can put the date in there and then file it. Right, let's go back to the circuit page. One last thing to show you is if you go to a society, you can edit the society as we've looked at already. This is the other way to add people who are not necessarily local preachers. You might be adding a circuit leader, and this, it's the same page as the one where you add a preacher, but if you can access it from the society site. So if we're going to add a person who is not a preacher, you would just ignore the preaching fields. You would leave out induction. For preacher status, you would say not a preacher, leave out preacher number, and then pick one of those roles. And they are linked to a specific society. So that's a quick run through of the whole system. As I say, anybody's welcome to use it. And if you pick up any problems or any errors, or you have any suggestions, you're welcome to let me know, and we'll see if we can incorporate those. And yeah, I hope it's useful. We find it useful in our circuit. What we do is each minister or society steward in a smaller society might be able to log in and populate the preaching plan in advance of our local preachers meeting, so that when it's time to have the preachers meeting, we just print out the plans with the data that has been captured. And then instead of one person trying to coordinate between a whole bunch of different people, the work is just done on a decentralized way. So we found it very useful. The other value of this approach is that if there's a mistake that you pick up in a person's got a wrong cell phone number or a name is misspelt, you make the change and you correct the error in one place, and it ripples through in every subsequent breaching plan. So the system just works very well. So you're welcome to use it, and good luck. Let me know if I can help at all.